Alright, I'm ready to spray the pilot and the cockpit and some of the other parts with some dull coat. That way it cuts down some of the sheen that's on them and will give us a nice base to put some weathering with pastels on. And one thing for sure, I'm using the Tester's dull coat, but if you use this stuff, just be sure it's in a well ventilated area, because this stuff is pretty strong. Alright. Spray a little on my test sheet, and we're ready to spray a little bit here. You don't need a whole lot, just enough to slowly build up a coat and to kill that semi-gloss. And get it on the face too. I'm trying to get that sheen on his face down a little bit. Since in this scale, even though skin is pretty shiny and oily, in this scale it looks kind of funny if you have it glossy. It looks kind of toyish, so. Plus it makes the blending a little bit, look a little more realistic that I spent so much time trying to get just right. Okay. I'm at the point where I can put on some weathering now. I'm going to use my pastel chalks, the ones I shaved earlier into a little dust. I'm going to use almost the darkest gray right before the black, and that'll show up pretty well on the RLM 66. I'm using a small 5/0 brush, and we're going to put a little bit of the chalk on to the recessed areas. Just a little line. Then blow off the excess, and then give it a blending with the bigger brush. Alright. And the cockpit shouldn't be too overdone, because there's not a lot of grease or grime in the cockpit, but there are a lot of shadows. So we want to at least pick it out to make it look like it has a little depth to it, a little interest to it. It's almost like an antiquing technique. Make it look a little more interesting than just factory paint job. Alright. Get a little back on here. Alrighty. Now on the pilot himself, I'm going to use the same colors, but I'm going to very carefully brush it on. That way it doesn't work too much into the paint. That way if I need to back off and I got too much, I can just dust it off with a bigger brush. And we just want to kind of get in the depth recesses there. And that'll kill the brightness of it, kind of bring it all together and blend all the colors together. Maybe a little more where the jacket meets the glove. Do it a little darker, that way it'll blend it a little bit more so there's not such a stark line. It won't look like a plastic model. And even a little bit on the belts, even though they're off-white, still needs to be toned down just a bit. Alright, bring it back a little bit with the bigger brush. And I'm just going to barely hit his face. Just slightly. A little bit in the corners, blends it out even more. But you couldn't get blended with the paint. The chalks just perfectly bring everything together. And if you're not sure how dark this pastel should be, start with a lighter gray and then move to a darker gray till it gets what you want. That way you won't make a mistake and go too dark and not be able to clean it up. Get his little outfit looking more realistic. Little shadows in the corners and maybe even a little on the sides where the shadows would fall more. A lot of artists use this in techniques on painting on canvas to fool the eye into thinking you're actually seeing the real shadow. I'm going to knock down the brightness of those bootstraps. A little dusting. Doesn't take much effort, no real particular skill. You'll just get used to how it looks and where to place the shadows. Okay. And we'll darken up his glove a little more there. Blend it out. Okay. On the inside of the jacket arm. So it fades to a nice dark color. And maybe give some detail in the jacket liner area there in the front. One last place. Kill some of that white. Okay. I think we're all done getting the realism to the pilot.